This is periodic number 3. Bob crawls across a football field and back at a constant rate, meaning these are straight lines. The graph below represents his distance in meters, y, from the starting line as he crawls, and the time x is measured in minutes. So, big important note here, these are minutes, and we'll do all our conversions into whatever the scale is in. So, time x is measured in minutes, and how far from the starting will he be? 11 hours, 23 minutes, and that's a lot of crawling. 45 seconds rounded to the nearest tenth of a meter. So what you need to understand is he's crawling, and as he's crawling, he's getting further and further away to a maximum of what it looks like here, 125 meters, and then he starts to get closer as he crawls back across the field until he hits 0. And then he repeats that process. So the repeating process makes this a periodic function, and because it's a periodic function, the first thing we need is the period. So how often will it repeat, or at what length of x does it repeat? And the answer for that, really simply, is 200. So we know what our period is. The next thing we know is how long is he going to repeat that pattern or that period? And that comes from our time that's been given. Now, we have to convert everything into minutes, and I've got 11 hours, 23 minutes, and 45 seconds. So first off, minutes. So the minutes are the minutes. There's 23 of those. Hours. To change hours into minutes, we times by 60. So we're going to go 11 times 60, and that gives me 660. And then 45 seconds into minutes, we divide. Think about it. 45 seconds is less than 1 minute. We need to get a decimal, right? That's kind of the hint. If you multiply, you're going to get a big number. We want something smaller than 1. 45 divided by 60 gives us 0.75. So, 3/4 of an hour. Sorry, of a minute. So when we add these up, we're going to get 683.75. That's the time. That's how many minutes he runs these 200-minute cycles. So how many 200-minute periods or cycles fit into 683.75? Well, we're going to do a division. So we're going to go time divided by the period. And when we do that, we're going to get 683.75 divided by 200, and that gives me 3.41875. So that's the number of periods he can complete. We know that that's a whole number with a decimal, and it's the decimal is the part of the period that we want to find. In other words, he does 3 full triangles like this, and then 0.41875 of the new triangle. So we're going to come back to the first one and find where 0.418 would be. So the first thing I'll do is I'll take away that 3. That's now I'm down to just my decimal, right? So if you think of, I had 3.41875, and I just ditched that 3. I want the decimal. I'm going to take that, and I'm going to times it by the period. It's always the same thing. The decimal times the period will tell me how far into that period, what proportion of the period. So times 200. And there's my answer, 83.75. Now, very important to remember that x is 83.75. You'll notice the 83.75 or 83.8 because we've rounded it to the nearest tenth right there. They're hoping you say that as the answer. It's not the answer. That's the value of x, and x is right around here somewhere. What we want is the corresponding y. You'll notice also it looks like it's going to be very close to 100. They're hoping you'll just say, oh, but 100. Nope, we got to calculate it. Can't just read it off the graph. So it's not going to be 83.8, it's not that 100. That means we need to use these 2 points to get the equation of that line, y equals ax plus b, plug in the x that we found, and get the corresponding y. And we can do that because it's a straight line. Remember I told you at the beginning, constant rate. Why don't we use these 2 points? Well, we're not using these 2 points because x came out at 83.75. So 83.75 is over here. We come up to find the y. We have to use this line, not this line. So here we go. I'm going to label this point. This is the point 100 and 125. And we got the easier side here because the x and the y here are zeros. We know the b is a 0, so y will be equal to ax plus b, right? I got to get the a, so pretty easy. 125 minus 0 over 100 minus 0. So the A is going to be 125 divided by 100. It's 1.25. And there's no B. B is 0. So Y is equal to 1.25x. Now I know my X. My X is 83.75. So I'm going to put it right there. And I'm going to go clear 1.25 times 83.75, and lo and behold, I get 104.7. That's why D is the answer.